You've hiked the classics, you've seen the Instagram waterfalls and the crowded summit signs, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Real surprise still exists. You just have to know where the influencers aren't looking. These 14 summer hikes made me feel like a beginner again, and I hope they do the same for you. 14. Franconia Ridge. Alpine tundra in New Hampshire sounds fake, right? But drive 2 hours from Boston, climb a steep forest, and suddenly you're walking a 2-mile knife edge with peaks exploding in every direction. The surprise? You're only at 5,000 to 260 feet, but the exposure feels like the Rockies. No permit required for day hiking. Just don't skip the waterfall descent. You'll feel like a mountain god until you remember you're 3 hours from a Dunkin'. 13. Buckskin Gulch. Try walking through a crack in the earth for 23 miles. Buckskin Gulch is the longest, deepest slot canyon in the world. And here's what nobody tells you. There are no distant views, no summit, no panoramic payoff, just sandstone walls rising hundreds of feet on both sides, sometimes narrow enough to touch both at once. Permits are capped at 20 per day for overnight trips, and you will get wet. Waist-deep, cold water, no way around it. But when the sun hits that rock at the right angle, the glow feels like standing inside a lantern. One wrong forecast and you're flash flood bait. So check weather like your life depends on it, because it does. 12. Lost Coast Trail. California's coastline sounds crowded and developed, right? Not here. Highway engineers looked at this stretch of Northern California, said no, and walked away. The result is 25 miles of black sand beaches, elephant seals that sound like belching uncles, and tidal windows that force you to check a schedule before you walk. Permits required through the Bureau of Land Management. You'll hike past King Peak, rising 4,100 feet straight from the surf. And if you time the tides wrong, you'll be hugging a cliff waiting for the ocean to back off. It's the only trail I've done where the ocean literally tells you when you're allowed to pass. 11. The Enchantments. Washington's most overhyped trail? Actually, no, it deserves every word. The through hike runs 22 miles with 5,000 feet of gain, most of it crammed into Osgard Pass. 2,000 feet and 1 mile of loose, steep, soul-questioning scrambling. Then you crest into a basin of turquoise lakes and granite slabs that looks like the Sierra Nevada teleported north. Overnight permits are lottery only and brutally competitive, but day hikers don't need one. If you go during large season in early October, the golden trees against teal water will break your camera. 10. Black Elk Peak. South Dakota doesn't come to mind for epic hikes, and that's exactly why this one surprises you. Black Elk Peak is the highest point between the Rockies and the Pyrenees. Yes, all the way to Spain. The trail from Sylvan Lake climbs through gaps in giant granite walls and up fire escape staircases that feel like a video game level. The summit fire lookout looks like a castle turret, 7 to 13 miles depending on your route, and the name changed in 2016 from an army commander who killed indigenous people to the Lakota medicine man Black Elk. You get views into 5 states and a history lesson you didn't see coming. 9. Kalalau Trail. Hawaii's Napali coast looks like a screensaver, but the trail wants to kill you. That's the reputation anyway. 22 miles round trip with cliffside traverses where the Pacific crashes hundreds of feet below and the trail narrows to your shoulders. The real dangers? Flash floods, rogue waves, and muddy red clay that turns into ice. But here's the truth. Go in summer, check conditions, and the fear is overhyped. You don't need to hike the whole thing. The 6-mile campsite at Hanakapiai lets you turn back with a clear conscience. Permits are required overnight and released 90 days in advance. I've done the full push and the slow version. Both left me speechless. 8. Ice Lakes Trail. Colorado has no shortage of alpine lakes, so one standing out feels impossible. Then you see ice lakes. The water glows bright turquoise against gray rock and green slopes, and your first reaction is that's edited. It's not. 7 miles round trip with 2,500 feet of gain from near Silverton. The trail throws wildflowers, waterfalls, and finally that impossible blue at you in rapid succession. No permits required yet, but arrive before sunrise or you'll be parking a mile down the road. The altitude will humble you if you came from sea level yesterday. Drink more water than you think you need. 7. Florida Trail, first 30 miles. Forget everything you know about hiking. The first 30 miles of the Florida Trail start at Big Cypress National Preserve and send you wading through brown water with alligators, water moccasins, and orchids growing out of trees. You'll sleep in hardwood hammocks, dry islands surrounded by swamp, and walk past cypress domes that look like mountains on a flat horizon. No permits required for this section. You will ask yourself, what am I doing here? At least 4 times. Then you'll cross Alligator Alley and immediately start planning the next trip. Which sounds worse to you? Waist-deep slot, canyon muck, or Florida swamp water with eyes watching you? Drop your answer below. 6. Sahale Glacier to camp. North Cascades doesn't get the crowds of Rainier or Olympic, which means you get one of the best campsites in America mostly to yourself. The hike climbs 12 miles round trip with 4,400 feet of gain to a backcountry perch surrounded by actual glaciers. Mountain goats will walk through your camp like they own the place, because they do. Permits are required for overnight and they're competitive, but the route works as a brutal day hike too. I watched a bear wander the trail below me once and just sat there grateful I wasn't lower. The views stack in layers here, each ridge behind the next, and no photo does it justice. 5. Grand Canyon rim to rim. You think you know the Grand Canyon until you cross it, 20 to 30 miles depending on your route, with several thousand feet down and then back up. Start at North Kaibab to end at the South Rim with burgers and beer waiting. The real surprise isn't the views, it's the time you walk past 2 billion years of geology. The Great Nonconformity alone will rewire how you understand history. Permits required overnight. Day hikers can do it, but you'll hate yourself after. Go slow, spend 3 days if you can. This trail made me sell my house and move into a van. I'm not joking. If you're ready to see these views in person, I've linked the best current flight and hotel deals in the description below to help you book for less. 4. Max Patch. North Carolina's most accessible payoff, 1.5 miles. That's it. You park, walk up a grassy bald, and suddenly you're standing on top of Appalachia with 360-degree views of the Blue Ridge and the French Broad River twisting through Tennessee. No trees block anything. The surprise is that such a short walk delivers such an enormous moment. No permit needed, but camping is banned through 2026 because too many people loved it to death. Go marvel, take your photos, then leave it clean for the next person. The Appalachian Trail runs right across the top so you can keep walking if you want, or just stand there and let the view rearrange your afternoon. 3. Havasupai. Turquoise waterfalls on red rock inside the Grand Canyon. The photos are real, but here's what they don't show. The price tag. Permits cost about $455 per person for a mandatory 3-night stay, and they're brutally competitive. You start at Hualapai Hilltop, drop into the canyon, walk 8 miles through desert to Supai Village, then 2 more to the campground. Havasu Falls, Mooney Falls, Beaver Falls, each one more ridiculous than the last. The crowds are real. The heat is real. The water is cold and perfect. I've done it 3 times, including my first solo backpacking trip. It's expensive, crowded, and absolutely worth it once. 2. North Circle Loop. Glacier National Park's backcountry doesn't give up its best views easily. The North Circle Loop runs 50 to 55 miles with about 10,000 feet of elevation gain across 4 to 6 days. You'll cross Ptarmigan Tunnel, climb Stony Indian Pass, and drop into Swift Current Valley with mountain goats judging your every step. Permits required and camps fill insanely fast. Have backup itineraries ready. Grizzlies live here. Carry spray, know how to use it, and don't be the person who sleeps with their granola bars. The loop connects to side trails like Iceberg Lake and Grinnell Glacier Overlook, so you can tack on more if your legs haven't quit yet. 1. Teton Crest Trail. Wyoming's Tetons are sculptural masterpieces, and the Crest Trail lets you stare at them for 35 to 40 miles without ever climbing to their summits. You cruise through Alaska Basin, past Marion and Sunset Lakes, then climb Paintbrush Divide for views that make your knees buckle. Permits required through Grand Teton National Park. The wildflowers in July will stain your memory purple and yellow. Moose and bears roam the same trail, carry spray, and make noise. What makes this trail surprising for experienced hikers is how accessible such world-class scenery actually is. There's an airport nearby, a real town with real food. You can be on this trail 6 hours after landing. Those 14 trails prove something to me. Surprise isn't dead. It's just hiding where the crowds haven't looked yet. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love this next one.